the first place we're going to start, gents, is in Miami. Into Miami, big scare for them in midweek. Lionel Messi leaving the game against Toronto, a 4-0 win, by the way, which improves their chances of making the playoffs even further. But Nick Mendola, a big scare because Messi obviously missed Argentina's second game against Bolivia in World Cup qualifying with an unspecified issue. They thought it was kind of muscle fatigue, and then he didn't play against Atlanta for Miami before this, which a lot of people were excited to see him play in Atlanta, but didn't happen. Came back for this game against Toronto, but it didn't look comfortable and was subbed off in the 37th minute of that game. And yeah, Gerardo Tata Martino after the game and just said they have to go day by day. He's not going to play against Orlando City this weekend. And he kind of suggested it's a bit of an old injury bothering him, and they're trying to manage the situation. So I guess all eyes are kind of on that Open Cup final and seeing if he's going to be fit for that, because that's a huge moment for Miami. And Martino said, like, if he's not fit, along with Jordi Alba, who also went off injured in the first half, then they won't be on the pitch. So again, this is a situation that we kind of talked about a few weeks ago. How is Messi going to deal with traveling, playing for Argentina, playing for Miami, all the expectations around him? Seems like it's kind of caught up with him a little bit, right? All of this travel and playing game after game, midweek, weekend. But what is your take on what we saw against Toronto?
Yeah, I think it's that schedule, but it's not the schedule's fault. It's when the schedule happened, because he came off. There wasn't really a preseason, right, to speak of. It was, hey, are you ready to go? Hey, are you ready to go? You're ready to go? Cool. You're going every game. And that is by nature of being a part of a team and the best player on a team and the best compensated player on a team and the best face in the world, right? So I think it's nature of the beast. And the problem here that is so frustrating to those of us who have watched MLS grow in a big way is knowing that a lot of people will tune out. I think that's pretty frustrating. I look around my office down here and I've got the Nashville Johnny Cash jersey hanging up. I've got a Colorado Rapids jersey from a friend of mine. And I think about the history and how far the league has gone. And then to see the drop-off that could happen in attention because the GOAT's not going this weekend, it's pretty frustrating. Is that fair for me to gripe about?
I think it's fair, right, Andy? I think obviously Messi is Messi. He is totally different than anything else we've ever seen in MLS before. But you'd like to think that even without his presence, there will still be a lot of eyes on Miami to see if they can make the playoffs. But also in the back of their mind, people will be hoping, please, I hope Messi's back so we can watch him, neutrals, and obviously Inter Miami fans. So, yeah, this is, I guess, kind of a big hit for their playoff hopes if it is a kind of a bigger issue that they have to manage, because we know how quickly games will become in the end of the regular season and straight into the playoffs. But it seems to me like Inter Miami and Tata are just focusing on the Open Cup final, and this is maybe more precautionary. Take him off now, rest him, make sure he's fully fit to go to win this Open Cup final, and which would be a huge trophy for them to win. And obviously 2 trophies for Messi in his first couple of months at Miami. What's your take on it? And I guess, yeah, that sort of impact it would have on Inter Miami for the rest of the season if this is an ongoing situation that they have to manage.
Yeah, obviously you want to see him play. Like, that's why we're talking about it right now. That's the reason that people have signed up to watch the league all over the world since he joined in July. But at the same time, and we talked about this last week, didn't we? The confidence that he has given to that team, and and obviously they got beaten pretty badly in Atlanta without him playing. But all 4 of the goals against Toronto, after he's subbed off in that game, now just 5 points back of that final playoff spot. They've got 2 games in hand, so they have done enough with him on the field, without him on the field, to close that gap to now that the gap is less than the 6 points possible in the 2 games in hand. And so I know you're tempted to just say, well, okay, well, Messi's gone, so there go their hopes. They've played pretty well without him, and obviously they're better when he's on the field. But he has really inspired that team, I think, and made them not just play better, but believe that they can play better, because it was a very, very kind of depressing place before he arrived, and just to put the eyeballs on them the way that he has done, that's reinvigorated them. So they've still got a chance at the playoffs, and it doesn't sound like this is going to be a major injury. They have to be smart about it. Obviously, they can't rush him back. They have to prioritize his health, especially at his age, and especially, as you say, Joe, as many games as he has already played and will still play between now and the end of the season, and potentially the playoffs too. But yeah, it sets up nicely, I think, to kind of project forward and look at next season because of how, I mean, he's shown up and been committed from the very first moment. And so to think about what this could look like with a full season of him, I think is really, obviously really exciting for Inter Miami fans, but I think it's exciting for everybody else around the world as well.
It really is. And talk about exciting. Some of the goals that they scored against Toronto. I mean, Robert Taylor scoring a couple of bangers as well. And there's other people stepping up in Messi's absence, like you mentioned, but just can't replace him, can you? Just cannot replace him when he's not in the team, and the fear factor that other teams get when coming up against him and his ex-Barcelona teammates, Busquets and Alba, who have been really, really good as well throughout the Inter Miami run that we're seeing. Nick, obviously all the focus is on the Open Cup final against Houston. That is next Wednesday, live on Telemundo and Peacock in Spanish in the USA. So a reminder there that you can watch that game live. I mean, this is all about if you can play some part, right? I guess all the focus will be on if we can just even get him on the pitch for 30, 25 minutes at the end and stay in that game, then you'd fancy him to do something to win that trophy for Miami. But I guess how much of a gamble is it for Inter Miami right now with that final in mind?
It is and it isn't. It's a huge gamble because you want him on the field and you know how important it is to attendance and the league and attention and all that, but also take the 2 trophies and run, right? I mean, there's a part of it when you're looking at the big picture project. If you really talk to David Beckham and said, hey, you know, you got this guy next year, and Jorge Mas, right? You know, you got this guy next year. Do you want to mark it off having Messi and 2 trophies, or you want to mark it off a trophy? And I mean, I'm not really projecting that if they get in the playoffs, they're going to go and win. There are too many good teams every week. It's possible, don't get me wrong, but this is a trophy that's 90 minutes away.
Sure.
Yeah. And it's very difficult for me to look past that. Houston's been better than they've been in years, but we're still talking about a team with 12 wins, 10 losses, and 7 ties. It's not a team that is, you know, you're scared to go up against. And frankly, that's what's kind of neat about MLS this year. If we could just get everybody on board, including, you know, myself with a little bit more vigor, the league is wide open. Parity has worked for this league, and if you're in the playoffs, you do have a chance.
It's true. Let's see if Messi has a chance of being fit for the Open Cup final, and if Inter Miami can get that second trophy with him. And I'm with you, Nick. I think that kind of has to be the priority right now. It's a bit too early in the project to suggest that they go all the way and win MLS Cup, but hey, it's Messi. Anything can happen when that guy's around, and we'll keep you covered on Pro Soccer Talk on NBCSports.com with all the latest news around his injury, his status, ahead of that big Open Cup final and a big final push for the playoffs for Inter Miami in MLS.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And for even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock. And be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you there.